Tell me your story.
Tell me your story.
How did it all start? Do you remember?
Oh, now what happened? How did it start?
This is Small Business Origins.
Yeah, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Small Business Origins. I'm your host, as always, John Kelly, aka John the Marketer on Instagram and TikTok, and you're tuned in to our nationwide search. We're looking for entrepreneurs with a story to tell. And joining us virtually in the studio is an entrepreneur that wants to do just that. And the thing about this entrepreneur is it just keeps going with everything I've been saying this entire time after I give that introduction of nationwide. We've got to change it. We're on a worldwide search because she is joining us from Barcelona. We've got Tamara Pflug with Tamara Coaching. Tamara, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, John, for having me. It's such a nice and exciting opportunity. Thank you again.
Absolutely. It is always an exciting opportunity. Like we talked about pre-show, I love meeting new people, and especially when it kind of draws in a totally different culture, because I have been on this nationwide search. So the majority of my guests have been from the U.S., and we all share something in common when it comes to how we grew up and how we were raised, because at least we have those regular common American themes in our life of, primary school and then secondary school and college and like all of these things. But it's so different speaking to someone who comes from a completely different cultural background. And so to hear your origin story is just going to be so different for us. And then what you're doing on the coaching side, I can't wait to hop into all of that. But before we get started, we always start out with an icebreaker question. And today's icebreaker question is pretty simple. It's, what's your idea of fun?
Wow, this is a good question. Honestly, it's something very easy. It's just a nice restaurant, like eating something nice and watching something nice on TV. Honestly, it's that simple, and it makes me very happy and having lots of fun.
I love good food. That's why I'm not a skinny person, because I love to eat.
I hear you.
For me, I could definitely count that in there. My answer is kind of broad. It's really anything where I get to disengage from what I need to do, where I'm not working, I'm not, focused on the million tasks that I have on my plate, where I get to just relax and turn my brain off and do nothing, whether that's, going to the beach or the river or the lake and hanging out with my friends, or playing video games, getting a nice meal at a restaurant, anything where I get to say, the heck with that phone, the heck with the computer, the emails, the podcast editing, the work I need to do. I want to just get away from it all and do pretty much nothing is like my favorite pastime, where I have no responsibilities and I can enjoy myself. But of course, with 3 kids, that doesn't happen very often, because those responsibilities never leave your side 24/7.
Yeah, this was actually a much more interesting and deep answer. But I just wanted actually to show with my answer that sometimes, we think we have to go on vacation, we have to go to an amusement park. Just thinking about this, because I was 10 days ago and it was amazing. Even being 33 years old, it was hard at sometimes, but still very, very fun. But I also like to remind people, it's exactly what you said. What does some look like for you? For each one of us, it's different. And I agree that actually, like, mine is quite simple, but sometimes, we want, as I said before, like something extraordinary, when sometimes it's just very easy to just have fun right here, right now. But
I think honestly, we take for granted the simple things in life. And it's like just going to get something to eat can be such a fun experience, where you're just spending time with somebody that's across from you, even if it is your kids, because obviously if you're a parent, hopefully you enjoy spending time with your kids. That's why we become parents. I think really the perspective that I've found on that recently comes from TikTok. I don't know if you're addicted to TikTok like I am.
Yeah.
But I am following this family, and it's super sad. I don't want to depress the show, but this wife and mother is like terminal cancer. They're expecting her to pass away at any point in time. And the father posted this video yesterday, and it was just her sitting on the beach where they're kind of like spending their final days together. And she's just looking at the sunset. And he writes in there that basically she told him, like, look at these people who are on this beach with us, and they don't even know the gravity of how lucky they are to be able to view this sunset right now. And I'm like, oh my God, like I just had tears falling in the middle of the night while I'm watching this TikTok because I'm like, the perspective there is so real where it's, you know, like you said, you don't have to be on an extravagant vacation. If you live near the water, going to the beach may just be like going to your backyard for you and your family. And it's like, don't take for granted how important and how fun that really is for you and your family. Like the simple things are all that matters. So even if you don't have a beach, just sitting in the backyard on my porch in a rocking chair, looking up at the sunset is something that we should not take for granted. We should absolutely enjoy that.
Yeah, and you know, I like to say it often that we wake up every day. Sometimes we're tired or we don't feel like doing what we're doing, but we just don't realize that we wake up alive, which I know because we woke up alive many days, we don't really realize it. But I think that trying to, you know, start the day with thinking something different can change a complete day, you know. And I agree that sometimes and it's funny because a friend just was laughing at me because I shared that I started to try to be more grateful to things. So I was like, honestly, drinking water and be like, thank you so much for the water. So this was very like spiritual for today, but I'm telling you, just going the shower and you have hot water, like thank you for the hot water. And I don't know, it just feels good, you know. So I agree with you, waking up in the morning, like, okay, I can move, feel good. And the story you just said was like straight up.
Yeah. Was it Scarface? I think that movie, they said every day above ground is a good day.
Yeah, it's true.
And that's the truth. It's like, we got to be thankful for that.
Yeah, and we go to bed at night, we don't even think about it, you know, like we don't have always proof of evidence that we will wake up, but we just decided, yeah, tomorrow I'm going to do this, like it's for sure, you know, but actually it's not. Well, it's really depressing. We make it depressing too.
I mean, it is, but at the same time, though, it's not, you know, because it's that exact opposite of I don't want it to be depressing. I want it to be motivational. It's the reason that we should be happy. Like when we're having that down thought of like, oh, I got to go to work today. No, I get to go to work today, you know, especially when hopefully you can make your way into doing something you enjoy. And it's like here, you know, even the boring part of my job is still sitting in an office with my buddy talking about how we're going to do the business that we need to do. And then the fun part of my job is getting to hop on a podcast like this with you and, you know, talk about things that are just sometimes not even related to the business podcast. Like we're on a whole, 8-minute tangent right now about living life and being motivational and all that stuff. And that's what I live for at work. That's what I enjoy about what I do. And you may not have the dream job that you've always wanted, but you just got to find those positives or create that dream job. You know, like you said, you're able to be a digital nomad of sorts where you get to live where you want to live for however long you want to live there and enjoy something. And you're in Barcelona now, but it could be Israel later. It could be, back home in Switzerland. It could be wherever you want to go. That's your office. And that is something that you get to enjoy. So it's like, find those enjoying the parts that you can enjoy about your life and your work and make those priority.
Yeah, and I would just add here, so you know that there are still, even if I'm selling the dream of waking up in the morning and feeling very grateful, I think that sometimes I still have a pity party for myself, like, I don't want to do this. I think for 6 minutes to acknowledge it, because, I see people telling me, I feel bad because I have everything to be happy, but I complain. But I think our brain, is like wired for survival, so it will look for danger. So this is why we are so negative.
Yeah.
Like 85% of what we think is negative because it's looking, this is dangerous. This person is not doing it good. Just we judge and criticize. I think just we are like predisposed, like in our brain, it's like this. So I think to give ourselves also 5-6 minutes, okay, it's just because of what I'm thinking, and then we can switch it. But I think to just acknowledge that, now we have just like poopy thoughts and it's just going to pass. I think this is the first part, because then we can also, it's kind of toxic positivity, telling people, but you have everything to be happy, but sometimes things just are annoying, so I think it's annoying because we have thoughts that makes us feel annoying, but I think then just 5 minutes to feel bad and then to move on. Yeah.
No, I'm with you. I mean, we definitely see those, especially in for us, we're on a fitness kick right now. And most of the motivation behind fitness is, just get up and just do it and quit complaining and, all these things. And it's like, you know what? I'm going to take my 5 minutes this morning when I woke up to be unhappy about the fact I had to wake up early. But once I get over it, I'm going to go in and I'm going to have a really productive day and a good day. Like it's not about where you start. It's about where you end your day for me. So whether you had a bad start to the morning or you had a slump at lunchtime, as long as you end the day where you wanted to be, then who cares what emotions you had run through you? Because we're emotional people. We're going to have those feelings and it's totally normal. I still hate waking up in the morning, even when I'm coming to a fun job.
I agree. No, and there are still things like we have to say, like there are things that needs to be done, no matter the job we are all doing. We just don't want to do them. I think this is also okay to accept the fact. But I think that our brain is really like when you start to wake up to go, for example, play tennis. Sometimes you also just like feel a bit lazy as fun as this sport is. And I think just to realize that back then, like we still have the brain of cavemen. So we just want to save calories, save energy, minimal effort. So of course, our brain is going to tell us stay in bed, and it's just so much comfortable. I think to acknowledge this and just know, okay, it's just my brain. And again, it goes, and I love this idea that we do not have to believe everything our brain is telling us. Like if it's telling us stay in bed, it's just like 3 words, Yeah, it's 3 words, and
Absolutely.
we don't have to listen to it, but to acknowledge, and then it's fine. I can still do this. It's interesting. I love it.
It is. No, it's a great conversation, but we're here to talk about you. So what is your origin story? Where'd you come from and how did you get into entrepreneurship?
Yeah, so it's such an interesting story because I learned, I was a teacher in Switzerland, and I loved kids, for their spontaneity, their authenticity. Like they don't play too many games. They don't overthink stuff. Maybe now today a bit more since it's been 10 years I left the school system, all of this. And then actually with my husband, we started selling on Amazon, which is a very funny story because he had the idea, like, I remember he called me and told me like, we're going to sell stuff online. I was like, what are you talking about? Like my shoes, because I used to buy so many things. And then we started selling kitchen gadgets, which is so funny because we both don't like to cook. We love going to restaurants, getting served and all this, being served. And so we had this company that we sold right before Corona. So I was really like being a teacher and also an entrepreneur at this time. Then I switched, we sold the business and I learned life coaching, and now I'm doing this from everywhere because we started already working online with this business of like selling on Amazon with FBA. And then I switched to he's in the digital marketing, Israeli accent. And I really moved to being a life coach. And now I realize when talking to people that a lot of problems come down to self-worth, like accepting ourselves, loving ourselves. So then I got guided to be a confidence coach, and I had the fun because it's not that serious. Like it's serious, but at the same time, nothing is so serious, in the end. So now I became the fun and confidence coach, and this is my entrepreneurial journey.
I love it. I mean, it's such an interesting take because on one hand, and I know that this is an incorrect assumption, so I would love to hear you explain why it's incorrect. But, I would say that a lot of people listening probably have the thought process of like, okay, so you're kind of a therapist. And it's like, well, no, I know you're not a therapist, but it does seem like it maybe bleeds a little bit together of, yes, you're giving some of that great advice you would get from a therapist, but what exactly is it that you're doing with your life coaching? Like, why do I need you?
Yeah, such a good question. So I think first to say that I respect therapists, I respect everybody. I think that if deep down we are helping somebody, even you work in marketing, or if somebody is getting help from us, it's a win-win, everybody, it's a share of value. And I think that it's amazing just to help others and help each other because we can all help each other with our own skills and our own, something that is inside of us. And I think about this, it's interesting because the funny thing is that I think, when I meet people, I say, I'm a life coach, and people are thinking, oh, me too, because they like to say that basically it's an unregulated industry. So there are some people that are maybe coaching people without having certifications. I have 2 certifications, but I don't really think when I'm sitting with somebody, the only reason why they are paying me and they want to get coached by me is because they believe that I can help them get results or like change something in their life. They don't really care like what I did, how many people, as long as I can help them in that moment. So to take an example, I like it, for example, when we watch soccer, as you call it, like football in Europe, or tennis, if you like tennis by any chance. Serena Williams, for example, she has a coach. Like everybody on TV I saw in the Mondial, the last soccer tournament, it was written the coach, but I saw it really later, like coach and like the name of the coach next to the team. And I think to myself, it's crazy that all of these athletes, like they get coached, and it's not shocking everybody. Like, yeah, he was a coach in this team and he earned that amount of money. He was an old player, but it's shocking people that actually what truly matters, which is our relationships, our self-confidence, making decisions, having our own back. This is like life coaching. We get to get coached on our life. Like think that deep down, when you go back home after work or even at work, you just want to feel good inside, and I think that this is the best. about life coaching is that we get to help people on things that I feel things are moving a bit at school. We learn a bit more about personal development and self-improvement, but I think that it's so much the impact of, feeling good with who we are, like with our emotions, things that, everyday situation that like conflict. There's nothing wrong with conflict. It's just that, we can learn so much more about ourselves and like also, having our own back, decision making, like communication. I think these are the true things that makes us happy, and I think that this is why what we're doing. And there are so many different coaches, for many different needs of people. So I think that it's what is also interesting, just to bring a bit of maybe something to add here. Something that therapy is sometimes also to help a bit looking at the past, like maybe, for example, trauma. I have a few people coming to me and I say I'm not trained for trauma, so I prefer like to reference them to somebody that can help them. So we look, I think, more to digest things from the past. But again, I did not learn about therapy, so I prefer talking about what I'm doing. But life coaching is more, looking at climbing a mountain, like to where we are now, what's in our control, and how we can actually like. I'm all about it goes with cognitive behavioral therapy, which has the assumption, like the kind of a fact that our thoughts create our feelings, and that everything that we have in our life was first created like from a thought that we have, which is very empowering, because if we want something different, a different result, we can think about, like we can decide to think something else. So even like our physical, like our physique, our family, like everything started with a thought that is conscious or unconscious. But it's just very interesting with coaching. What is interesting is that then we look at what we're thinking in specific situation of our day-to-day life, and then we can decide if we want a different result. That can be, we have so many weight loss coach, like business coach, and it all depends on what we're thinking. So we are coaching on what people are thinking, and we believe that people have all the answers inside of them. So it's more asking questions and giving perspective and insights. But it's so interesting you ask this question, because it's true that people ask it, and I think it's totally fair. Like, I'm never on the defense, like, this is what life coaching does. Like, I think not everybody needs therapy all the time. Not everybody needs coaching all the time. It's just something nice to try. And I've been coached like 20 minutes for a few years, for a week, and I really like it. So
I think that
it was a good answer.
No, it's a great answer. And I think I may be totally wrong on this, but I feel like coaching as a service is probably undervalued by a lot of people. And so I don't know if you find that different, because I'm not in the industry or the space, so I may be way wrong on that, but I feel like it's not valued enough, because it's hard. I kind of liken it to having children. And I tell my children, hey, this is what you need to do. This is why you need to do it. Here's how you set yourself up for success and all these things, but they're my kids. So they automatically like, okay, dad, whatever, And I think that we kind of do that as adults with close friends and family that we have nearby, where it's like, well, you know what? I may respect Uncle Mark's opinion, and I think that he's a very smart person and he's leading me down the correct path. But sometimes we take that parent-child role where it's like, well, I'm going to go make that mistake anyway, even though he told me not to do it, because I didn't have a third party that is kind of an expert in my mind of this. That's my uncle, or that's my aunt, or my mother or father, versus this third party is an expert I'm paying and hiring for their opinion and their support and their guidance. And so it's like you value that more because you're paying for it. And I think that, honestly, I'm kind of finding, in my perspective, everybody needs some sort of coach, whether it's a physical trainer, weight loss coach, business coach, life coach, whatever it is, someone that you can use as that sounding board and be able to say, like, this is what I'm wanting to do. How do I get there? Or if you did it, how did you get there, so that I can emulate that, and get kind of that third party advice. I don't know if you disagree with me or agree with me on that, but that's kind of my thought process behind it. Yeah,
I find it very interesting. And as we talked also before you hit the record button, I like also to hear what people are saying about it. I'm very open-minded to see like what resonated with people. And I think coaching, there are some people that are attracted, and feel like this is right for them, and some people that never considered it and tried on and say like, yeah, this sounds fun, and they're doing it and then they continue. But the example that you said is really making me think of something that makes a lot of sense when I'm giving the example is of dating. I used to coach a lot of women going on dates. And the interesting part is that, when they compared it with their friends, telling them, like supporting them, but being kind of in the pool with them, like telling them, yeah, you're right, it's tough out there, like there's nothing you can do. Men are not emotional, like they're not ready for a relationship, for commitment. And the coach here, the role that I had that changed really a lot, I think, for my clients, was that I did not buy into their stories, because if I was buying into the fact that it's true, it's a fact out there, it's hard, they are completely disempowered. There's nothing they can do. But what was interesting is that to show them what's going on in their mind, as I mentioned before, that our thoughts really create our feeling, which drive our action, the way we show up in the world. That when they go on dates and they think, anyway, it's not going to be emotionally available, how do you think they're showing up? Like it's, people say, but I didn't say anything, but it shows, in our behaviors from what we are thinking and what we are feeling. So this is what coaching, in this example, I find it interesting and very empowering. It's that since we see how much our thoughts create the way we show up, and then we get the result of, I'm not blaming everybody, every single lady in the world, but I'm just saying it's much more empowering as a coach to tell them, look, this is maybe what you're creating in the moment, which is the best new ever, because it means that it's going back to the idea of what were you thinking in that moment. If you want something different, you can choose to think something easier, which is not that easy, but I truly believe we can choose our closest, like choose our thoughts, just like we choose our closest, And this goes also for an example of weight loss, that I think sometimes we change many actions, we try many diets, but the thoughts are always the same, driving, to us to eat something that is a complete innocent thought, such as, this is going to taste so good. But what do we feel when we think this? We feel desire, and the action is to eat. You know what I'm talking about? But I find it so much empowering. I love it. But yeah, it's so interesting what you brought before, because it's another way to look at it. I agree with you. Like, kids don't listen to their parents. This is a fact. They make their mistakes 1 or 2 times to make sure.
Yeah, your example is great too, because it's exactly right. And this exists whether it's on the male side or female side of our friends, or sometimes, and I don't think it's always purposeful, but they have our backs to the point that they can be actually detrimental or even toxic to our situation. Like, for instance, I've seen this play out in relationships where it's like, well, you know what? Know your worth, honey, and just get rid of him and dump him. And it's like, well, it's not dumping him. This is divorce that we're talking about, and you have children. Like, that's not the advice to give. Now, don't get me wrong. Clearly, if there's abuse, if there's something crazy going on, yes, get away. But I think all the time it's so easy for us as guys to get together, or for women to get together and just have that, like, the toxic masculinity or the toxic feminism of, no, do what's best for you and don't worry about that other person. And it's like, you know what? Maybe your friend needed someone to step up and say, hey, you know what? I love both of y'all. You're both my friends. And if this is something that y'all can overcome, let's get to that as the end goal. And then, like you said, that's where your expertise comes in as a coach, is that you're not just my friend. It's not just John calling Tamara to say, hey, what's up? Just wanted to holler at you and say, this is going on in my life. What should I do? And I expect you to reciprocate the same feelings I have. No, I'm calling you to say, this is a problem I'm having. These are the thoughts that I have. What are your thoughts? So that you can be that one to say, that's wrong. Like, don't do that. Here's a better way to handle that. And so I love that example that you gave there. I think that's a great point that needs to be made across all of the world. I wish people could understand that and hear that, is that sometimes your friends are just giving you the same energy that you're giving them, and that's not always the answer. You need somebody to, like, smack you upside the head every now and then and say, hey, snap out of it. That's not the right thing to do.
No, but I think, friends, like, I love my friends, like, you're having fun and they're supporting us, but I think it's not useful in some situation to, like, be in the pool with them, because, again, I think this is where I'm coming in and how I'm happy to make money with. Like, of course, I want to help people, but it's amazing that we discover that in every situation, if we want something different, a different result, it's to realize that we can get coached on what we're thinking. And yeah, it's true. For example, the advice, I also realized that people don't like to be given advice. Most of the time you can see people pay attention for now. They cross their arms. They're like, yeah, maybe I'll try. Because I think that deep down, the best is as a friend to support. But it's true for coaching. I love asking questions, but to kind of also, often we're in a black or white mentality, we're like, oh, I'm doing this 100%, or I'm not doing it. Like, and sometimes it's just nice to ask ourselves if there is a middle, no matter the situation. But then, it's really to bring perspective and insights on maybe a way to look differently at things. But I have to say that which I think would be interesting if you wanted to add this to the knowledge of coaching we're talking now. It's also, I don't know what's best for my client. I love to ask questions, but then I truly believe, that our intuition is so underrated. Even if it's coming, you work in marketing, in business. I read somewhere, and I'm applying it for many things in my life, is that I have a question, I'm answering it, and my guess is my best answer. Like, I think our intuition, this is why also I love everything about confidence, is like we have answers inside of us. We can just trust. The worst that can happen is an emotion, and we have our own back. Like, I'm really into this. I love it. And I think it's just nice to know that your intuition in every area of our life can be very evaluated. I mean, use it more than what we are actually learning. We read online, on Google, everywhere, but I think inside you can also find great answer. If it doesn't work, you just on your way to try something else, Well, I went to another topic, but you got what I mean, like to bring another perspective from the coach. It's just very fun also. I think it's a fun way to look at stuff, Sometimes things are so problematic, like dating, all of it, when it's so heavy, and it can be much more fun. I truly believe we can bring much more enjoyment and fun in even editing podcast episodes. Like, I'm sure we can find more enjoyment in everything. And I think coaching is fun because it's a different way to look at things,
It goes back to where we started this podcast off, which was, what is your idea of fun? And it's, just the simple things can make it into something better, if you will. So I know obviously we went on a 10-minute tangent when we started this whole thing, and then we've had some great conversation about all of this stuff, but are you sharing these insights on social media, YouTube, or anywhere like that right now?
So yes, I actually, I'm sharing them on, I have an Instagram, it's Tamara Fun Confidence Coach, where I'm posting also funny videos because why not, and showing you that you can be without makeup and just have fun, and everybody's having fun around also. And basically this is the main Instagram one that I have actually. I think it's better to give one direction for people, but I have a website that is, I just redone it. So I'm probably sharing it here, that is called personaldevelopmentzone.com. And there you can also have a few fun info. I also share 17 random facts about me. I think it's just fun to see what I have in common with people.
Absolutely. No, and of course, we always link everything in our show notes, and so we'll have full descriptions of that. But I was just wondering, because it has been such a great conversation. I can see why people come to you to be their life coach. Like, it's an easy conversation to have with you, even though we're two vastly different people from very different parts of the world with very different accents and all of these things. It's still, we're all humans, and we all have so much in common. And then you're just adding to, the thoughts that I'm having, and vice versa. Like, it's a very easy conversation to have. So I love this. And I just have to assume that being a life coach, and with the things I've seen on the show already today, you've got to have some great information to share. So I hope everybody's headed over to Instagram and checking out your stuff. I know I will be. I'll absolutely add you on there so that I can take a look at all of that. What does it look like to become your client? Do I reach out on the website? About how much should I expect to pay? What kind of packages do you offer? I know it's a loaded question, but just all of those things. What are my next steps if I feel like you're a great fit?
Yes, thank you. So it's very easy. I made it super simple because I love things to be simple. And I told you, brains just want to conserve calories. I'm not going to spend my calories on that. So it's super easy. It's to go to my website, and it's called personaldevelopmentzone.com. And it's very easy. I put little yellow buttons all over the place to book a free and fun, obviously, consultation. And I work with my clients for 4 months to have much more fun and confidence in specific situation of our day-to-day life, because these specific situations that you get coached on are making your whole life. So it's just very practical and not just inspirational, And and actually it's $1,000, like I said, $960 or $500 twice the time payment plan for 4 months. And basically it's $1,000 to feel much more confident, like to have control over every situation, emotions, and feel in control. And really my tagline, to accept and love yourself like you never did before. It's the thing that you wish you would have learned that will impact every area of your life. So this is how I work. And actually you can just follow me also, as you said, on Instagram, and take the best and leave the rest.
Is that a monthly meeting with you? And if so, how many meetings does that include?
Yes. So no, it's once per week, 45 minutes of coaching. It's 45 minutes per week for 16 weeks. I'm good. See why I gave up teaching? So it's for 4 months because I saw like people get really results in like 3 months, but I like to give a bit of buffer so we can work on another goal. So yeah, it's one time per week, 45 minutes, 4 months, so 16 weeks total. And yeah, it's very fun. It's not too serious, but the results are amazing. Like when you think about it, it's always, an expense. It's an investment in mental health, like we consider, oh, I'm sick, I'm staying in bed today, but mental health is so important too. And it's very fun. I think coaching is fun and I would love to help people. During the free consultation, I'm giving a little taste of coaching also to show people, because I have to say, if you would have talked to me about coaching like 15 years ago, I'm not sure I would have, I had no idea, so people should test it. And I'm completely detached. I love when people are coming to me. I respect. As I said before, I never know what's best for my clients. So if they don't want now coaching, it's fine also. But it's just nice. It's just nice and fun to try. I think for everybody, as you said it before, I think everybody should just try and see for themselves.
Yeah. And the thing is, the reason I asked that is, 16 weeks, 45 minutes once per week. When you break that down, it's not that expensive per session. It's less than a doctor's visit, less than a therapist visit. Like I've done all of those things and paid out of pocket for that. And it's much cheaper than that. So
I know,
to feel
I
better
find
about yourself.
No-brainer. I have to say, I find it easy to sell for me because but it's not $1,000 that you feel like out of your bank account. You pay for confidence. You pay for feeling generally better without having to change your kids, your wife. Like, I'm not talking about you especially, but to talk about to just feel generally better when you don't have to change anybody. I think it's just to me also, it's how it impacted my life. So I really want to help others. This is So thank you for saying this.
I think the big thing is it plays into your confidence and your ability to make good, positive decisions for your life, plays into an opportunity cost that you're letting go by not having that confidence. Like for me being in sales, if I'm not confident about who I am, the product that I'm selling, and I can't communicate well to someone else, and I can't get my message across to that person, something that a coach could help me with, then I could very well be losing out on sales, which means losing out on commissions. Yeah. And depending on what your commission structure is, if 2 sales equals $1,000 for you, how many sales are you letting go every single week because you didn't want to spend $1,000 to be a better salesperson or to be a better mom or dad or, sister, brother, those things that you can't, those are invaluable. Like you cannot put a dollar amount on the improvement that it's going to have for your personal life. But then look at the business side and say, is $1,000 worth not being a better salesperson because I'm more confident and I communicate better, or, any of those things that you're working on with your clients?
Yeah. And it's funny you mentioned this because I walked a bit around, my copy recently, and I had to say to myself, it's kind of intangible to really show to people, what's at stake, it's not about investing or not investing. It's about feeling insecure and not having your own back, to really feeling empowered and feeling like you have much more control than you think you have. And it's exactly what you said. This is why I think the most important relationship is the one we have with ourselves, the impact on other people. And it's amazing because people want to be around you. People want to, they're calling you. People are in touch. Not that it's necessarily what we want, but it's spreading around, it's making just the world a better place. But for us in the first place, we truly, genuinely feel better. You don't feel offended anymore. You don't take things personally. I find it I wish this is what I decided my mission. Also, I wanted to add a little thing here that I'm learning also sign language, American Sign Language, because I want to help people that also cannot hear. To do so much, I want to really help people that, are a bit stuck in, this little nagging voice that is so annoying and dictating our life. We can really silence it and feel better, really. I'm into it, as you can see.
I love all of that. I think it's great information. And I know that, when you look at the average time of my podcast, this one has been very short if we stop it here, because average is, 45 minutes or so. But so much has been said in such a small amount of time. And I think that's a testament to exactly what your capabilities are once you are on that coaching call, the amount of information that you're able to get. So I guess my final question would be, when we're actually sitting down to knock these things out and talk about these things, am I bringing stuff to you, or is this a kind of curriculum you have put together that you're going to put me through and maybe combine some of that? Or like, hey, do you have anything that you want to bring to me at the end of this conversation, or what does it look like to be your client?
Yeah, it's such a good question. Like the process, you mean? So during the consultation, and we talk about on a scale on 1 to 10, like how do we feel? Like in what situation of our life? I like just to take the temperature to see where my clients are, how confident they feel in specific situations. Because for example, for me, it was to stand up for my opinions. Like for example, I don't have kids, not necessarily planning on having kids. This was so hard for me to have my own back when people are asking, and I'm a woman and all of this. So we take very specific situations because, again, I don't really want 45 minutes of inspiring quotes and everything. I like to really get into the meat and to help in specific situations where we did not feel good. We felt insecure, doubt and feelings that it's hurting really the love that we have for ourselves, and I like to tell my clients we can use everything like for ourselves, like a way to love ourselves, or something to beat ourselves up, like to not help with the relationship with ourselves. So we always start where they are, which again, there's nothing wrong. We have to be somewhere. So we are at a certain level, like 2 or 3. And we go also through certain areas of our life to see a bit what would the 10 look like and where they are now. So it's just a very nice measurement to at least like start to be aware of it. And then, I wrote this that I designed after the consult, in the end of the consult, fun and adventure, a fun and confidence adventure to each one of my clients, because everybody is different, everybody has different needs. And then per session, we really start with situations and we see what's happening in the situation, what we are thinking. We are talking about perspective, way of looking at things differently, but really comes down, often now I coach a lot of on being confident, asking for a raise, or being confident with their boss, a lot at work. And we take really specific situations and we see what happened in the moment, what's in my control, what can I do, and how really can I use it to love and accept myself more. This is really the impact, the aim of it. But of course, every session we can talk about things that come up, but the best is also when nothing especially come up, and then you can really decide from a place more of abundance. I also like to say goals. It's amazing to have goals, but sometimes we set goals from a place of lack, like I need to do this because I'm not good enough now. But actually, it's an amazing feeling to reach for a goal from a place of, okay, I'm already good enough, which is what I'm working really hard with my clients to like show them that they're worth just like as they are now, and what do I want more from them. So I hope it was not too vague, because it's a process that it's kind of adapted to every person, but it's just very customized. And I think that it's very powerful because it's, like I said before, it's many specific situations that make the life, and then you use it for every situation, like just to also process emotions. Sounds so simple, but it's simple, which doesn't make that it's easy, so just to go through the process and then you brace and you're not reacting to somebody else. And it's crazy, the power of coaching. I love it. I'm sold.
Yeah. No, it makes perfect sense. And I can't thank you enough for coming on here and sharing about your personal life, as well as what you're doing with your coaching and the entrepreneur side of things. It's been an amazing conversation. I could definitely just go on for hours, but I know, some of us got to sneak in food before the show, and others had to suffer through the show with no food and just a coffee break. So
thank you so much, John. You're such a great host. It was amazing. It's true that we touched on everything.
I know, very quickly, and I loved it. It was awesome.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome, and thank you as well. And listeners, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Small Business Origins. We couldn't do this show without you, and truly, it means the world that people from across the world are listening. I get messages from Australia and from Canada, and of course, all across the United States. And it is such a humbling experience, and I can't thank you enough for supporting these entrepreneurs that come on here and share it all. And the best thing you can do to help us support all of them is just leave us a good review. Leave a review anywhere you listen to your podcasts and let the world know that this one is worth listening to, because what we need to do is attract more listeners so that these stories get out to more people. That's all there is to it. But that's been another episode of Small Business Origins. We'll see you next week whenever we have our next episode. And as always, stay beefy, my friends.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Small Business Origins.
I love an origin story.
If you like what you just heard, leave us a review, subscribe, and share with a friend.
You guys, check this out.
They're going to love it. You're going to love it.